Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell.
And in this episode of The First Round, Matt and I saw the little independent... I think we make that joke every single time when it's a big budget movie. So we saw Captain America Civil War, one of the most anticipated films of the year. Rumors saying it's the greatest superhero film of all time, which is pretty steep because Batman and Robin is an all-time classic. We're going to talk about Captain America Civil War. It's coming up on Blu-ray DVD. And then I think, Matt, the best thing for us to do then is at the end of the segment, instead of doing a top five or whatever it is we normally do, we actually do a Captain America spoiler discussion, all right? So it gives people kind of a chance to hear our thoughts about the film. Then we get into the details of everything. And then I think it'd be fun to rank them again, right? Every time a new one comes out, do we have to rejigger our ranking of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? So we're going to get into all of that. So let's take a listen to Civil War.
This job, we try to save as many people as we can. Sometimes that doesn't mean everybody. But you don't give up.
New York. Washington, D.C. Sokovia.
Okay, that's enough.
Captain, people are afraid.
That's why I'm here. We need to be put in check. Whatever form that takes, I'm game.
I'm sorry, Tony. If I see a situation pointed south, I can't ignore it. Sometimes I wish I could.
Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect teeth.
I know we're not perfect. But the safest hands are still our own.
I was wrong about you. The whole world was wrong about you.
All right, Matt. So Captain America is back. In fact, you could almost call this like Avengers 3. I mean, basically everybody's in this, right? So why don't you tell the kids at home what's going on and why is there a civil war?
All right. Well, in the role of the films, the Avengers have been going around and taking out bad guys and aliens. And in the very specifics of this film, they get into a fight with a particular individual. There's some collateral damage. Some civilians are killed. And basically the government comes down on them and says, you're operating with no oversight. You're not, watching any kind of, or paying attention to like international borders or international laws. We're going to put these rules and that you're going to be responsible or have to answer to the UN. And Cap says, no, I don't want to do that because I'm still the best person to have a say in what's going on, whereas an Iron Man seems to think it's a good idea, and the team splits down those lines.
So what do you think? I'm curious, what side would you be on? I got to admit, I think Tony's got a point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's not like the comic book Civil War where it was like this really contrived, stupid reason, but I mean, it makes sense. I mean, when Ross comes in and basically says, you're completely ignoring international law, you have no oversight at all. Yeah, I mean, I agree. But then, of course, you get into the whole bureaucracy of, not sending the Avengers if they need to go.
That's true.
Pickle. It's a pickle.
It certainly is. It certainly is. So, all right, I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm trying to figure out where I want to go with this because the solid film Batman vs Superman is still in the back of my mind, right? And we have a similar through line where you have our heroes fighting each other, and you have to come up with a reason for that to happen. And it may pain me to say this, but this is handled much better than the other film. I think it's going to refer to it now as the other film. I think the Russos do a really good job of balancing everything. And this is quite the juggling act. There's a lot going on in this movie. There's a lot of stars that need some screen time. And I think maybe if I were to find any real faults with the film, it would probably be with Zemo. I think his motivations are fine. I think that his ultimate plan makes sense. I don't have any issues with it. I just feel he was relatively underserved. I feel like his whole plot is just the framing device to make the plot work, right? To give us a reason for the heroes to fight each other. Now, handled poorly, this could have derailed the entire film. Snyder. So, I think that the Russo brothers do a good job of that. I mean, and I'm struggling by even calling it a weak point. It's just I just think that Bruhl's Zemo is underserved in the film.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, he doesn't really fit the mold of, and I'm not super familiar with the character from the comics, but I mean, he doesn't really fit the supervillain mold. He just seems to be this guy out on a vengeance mission. So it kind of, I don't know, it could have really been anybody. It didn't even really have to be Baron Zemo, from the comics.
Yeah, it's more like, I think you're right. It's more a way to just to use that character's name. Because I got to tell you, I always kind of liked Baron Zemo, or the actual original bad guy who has a weird purple mask with a crown that he wears.
Yeah.
And for some reason, he was part of the Secret Wars toy line, even though he was not actually part of Secret Wars. I always thought that was weird. Of course, Daredevil was in that too. But still, there's always something about that character that I've liked. So we don't get that version, and maybe we can pocket that for now to get into that when we start talking about the spoilers. But overall, I have to say it's a very successful film. I think as I said before, the Russos do a great job of giving everybody their moments. And there's a lot of people in this film. But I think everybody gets just the right amount of time. There's a couple things, which we'll talk about later, that I wanted more of. But I think that's more just what you're supposed to do, right? You want to leave your audience wanting more. So they do that perfectly for a couple films coming up down the road where I could have spent my whole time with these two characters. And I'll tell you right now, it's Black Panther and Spider-Man. Those were the two most interesting things about this entire film. For me, I could have part of me is like, I get that we need to introduce Black Panther. I don't think we can launch a BP film just cold. I get that. But just dealing with just the introduction of those characters, though, in this universe, for me, was just fantastic. I don't know how you feel.
Well, I mean, I think it was solid. I think for me, it may have tipped the scale a little bit. I think there was just too many moving parts, and it kind of, at times, it kind of got bogged down in its own weight of just how many freaking characters there were in this. But the fight scenes in it are some of the best that I've ever seen. They're like true comic book fight scenes. There's some good humor in it. There's some interesting pairings that I really liked. I really liked Spider-Man and Iron Man together. I thought Bucky and Falcon were fun together. All that kind of interpersonal play was really well done. And I'm with you. I absolutely loved Spider-Man, but he's my absolute favorite. So I was super excited to see that. Black Panther, I enjoyed it, but I don't know. He was kind of he's kind of a downer a little bit. So I kind of want him to be a little bit more fun than
explain to me how you pull that off. We'll talk about this later, but given his character's arc in this film, I don't quite know how you pull that off.
Well, and that's fine. I get that, but I mean, I guess really my point I'm making, I'm not so if I'm going to be getting 2.5 hours of his own film of that, I'm not super excited to go see it. I mean, the action, but I don't want to see Chadwick Boseman, scowling for 2 hours while he talks about basically Batman Part 2 or another version of Batman. I'm just not interested in seeing it. That's all. I mean, it just doesn't fit the kind of what I've come to expect from Marvel.
That's interesting. And you know what? Given that character's background, and I think where Marvel's going with him in Wakanda, I don't know how they're going to do that. I mean, I feel like you're right, that's going to be maybe the theme or the mood of the Panther films. It's interesting. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
See how that turns out.
Yeah, I mean, it fits for the film, but I just doesn't make me excited to see. Makes me a little nervous. I want a little levity. Little bit of levity. Got to have it.
Well, I don't know. Yes. I have to say, I think that's the biggest thing for me. Like you said, the action scenes are fantastic in this. It's a lot of fun from start to finish. And it just felt right. You know, the whole time. You feel good while you're watching it. It's exactly what you're hoping. Listen, the fan base for these movies, we're a little high maintenance with this kind of stuff. All right,
You don't say.
So I think it's tough. So, and when the fact that the Russo brothers now for me are 2 for 2, because I think Winter Soldier is one of the best of the series. And the fact that they're handling Infinity War, and that they were able to juggle everything for me, I thought it was fine in Civil War. I'm more and more confident that in Infinity War will be really, really good. So, yeah. I mean, there's just so much you could say, but you can't say it because you're going to give away stuff, which we're going to do in a little bit with the show. So, I don't know. So for me, I saw it in the IMAX 3D. Well worth it. I think that's your preferred way of seeing it. There are some exclusive shots done in IMAX. I believe the airport fight scene being one of them. So if you get an opportunity to see it there, that's the way you should go.
Right.
All right. So, and I think this is one of those must see in the theater films. You need to get the big picture and the big sound to really truly enjoy the full impact of the film and how much fun it is.
I completely agree with you. So where are we ranking this in the canon of Marvel films?
You want to do that now? We can do that now. Okay. All right. So here's where we are, right? We have, well, I got to tell you, Matt, right now, I may have this as number 1.
Really?
I'm going back and forth between this. My top 3 are Civil War, Iron Man, and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
And
so it bumped Winter Soldier out of the running?
Yeah, it dropped Winter Soldier down to 4th place.
Okay.
I think I enjoyed this film more than Winter Soldier. And I really liked Winter Soldier too. I think part of the reason why I have this, I'm considering it's number 1, is Iron Man we still have to go through the introduction and the origins of everything, right? We don't have a established universe, so we have to build the groundwork first, which is fine, but you don't want to see that over and over again. Which, by the way, kudos Russos with Spider-Man. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, though it's a lot of fun film, it's a bunch of characters that I really don't have any connection to. I enjoy it. It's fun, but I mean, you care for the characters in the film, but like for me, the Flash is my favorite character. So I like to see a Flash. That's why I love the show so much. You want to see your guys.
Right.
And the Guardians are not my guys.
Right.
So I think that Civil War is that successful for me, that it balances everything so well. It has a lot of great moments, and we get Spider-Man introduced into this Marvel universe. It hits every note for me. So that's why I'm seriously, if I have to make a decision today, I go Cap, Civil War, Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Winter Soldier. I'm gonna go Ant-Man, Avengers, Ultron, Iron Man 3, Captain America, Iron Man 2, then Thor: The Dark World, then Thor, and then The Incredible Hulk. I really don't like those Thor films.
I know you. I can't believe that you prefer Iron Man 2 to the Thor films.
Robert Downey Jr. is what pushes over the top.
Does it? Man, Iron Man 2 was just so disappointing. Yeah, I think that's pretty much my list. I think I would put Winter Soldier higher. I think I liked how tense and lean that film was for a Marvel film. I thought it had everything established, and it was really the first one that they just kind of broke through and just did their own thing with how they did it. So, yeah, I would say Civil War number 1. I would say
you would go Civil War 1.
Yeah, I would go number 1. I would say Winter Soldier 2, then Guardians, then Iron Man, then Avengers, then Ant-Man, and then on down the line from there.
Yeah, fair enough. I think you can go with that. But yeah, you're right, because what you said earlier, Civil War could have collapsed under its own weight at any point, and it never did. And it never strained for me. It never felt wobbly. So good job, Russos. And we'll get more into the spoilers in a little bit. But if you have anything else to add, Matt, before I move on?
Not that we can do right here in a non-spoiler discussion. Although I will say one of the things that we're going to talk about, it's in one of the new commercials.
So, really?
So Marvel has spoiled it for everyone.
All right. So, if you've had a chance to see Captain America Civil War, and judging by the box office you have, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, coming up on Blu-ray and DVD, one of the best films of 2016, and that is TFR Favorite Studios A24's The Witch. Is coming out with a Blu-ray Ultraviolet. Includes commentary by the director Robert Eggers, and then Primal Folklore, The Witch, behind-the-scenes making featurette, and a Q&A panel as well. But we're both big fans of The Witch, so if you haven't seen it, now's your chance to check it out at home. Yeah, next up, Dirty Grandpa, the Robert De Niro, who seems to be just determined to make you forget about the fact that he's one of the greatest living actors of all time. That's comes out with an unrated version, Blu-ray, DVD, digital copy, and ultraviolet stream, audio commentary as well, some behind-the-scenes featurettes, and a gag reel. Yeah. New to Blu-ray, The Naked Island from Criterion. It's director Kenito Shindo's documentary-like dialogue-free portrayal of daily struggle is a work of stunning visual beauty and invention. It's the international breakthrough for one of Japan's most innovative filmmakers. I've never seen The Naked Island, but hopefully we'll get a chance to catch up with it now. Did you hear Criterion's getting its own channel? Like online? They've been doing stuff with Hulu.
Oh, yeah. I did hear about that, yeah.
They're teaming up with TCM, and they're going to have their own subscription service.
Everybody's going subscriptions these days.
It's too much.
It's going to get pricey.
Exactly. That's the problem. I can't afford to do all this stuff. I can't. Bastards. Warner Archives giving us Dark Passage, a classic film with Bogart and Bacall. Your straight to DVD pick of the week, Matt. Are you ready for this one? It only took 25 years. Kindergarten Cop 2. Now, if you had to pick somebody to take over for Schwarzenegger, who would you pick?
Dolph Lundgren.
Boom.
Was that right?
That is it. Dolph Lundgren and, of course, Bill Bellamy. Star in the hilarious Nick chapter of the Arnold Schwarzenegger classic, Kindergarten Cop. To recover stolen data in a progressive school, the FBI's toughest agent, Lundgren, must go undercover on his most difficult assignment yet, teaching a class full of liberal kindergartners. Liberal? It's a weird...
That is. That's a weird design. It's like saying they're libertarian kindergartners or something.
Is this some kind of like political Kindergarten Cop 2 sequel? They did say a progressive school. All right, Kindergarten Cop 2 is an action-packed comedy the whole family will love. Says right here by Glenn Beck. So I guess maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Your streaming pick of the week, Matt. I really struggled with this week, but I decided to go. I watched a couple episodes of it because I remember it was all right. Let's put it this way: one of the greatest theme songs of any TV show ever. All right, so just watch like episode 2 or 3, or just Google the theme song on YouTube. You'll be fine. The Rockford Files.
Okay.
You're familiar with the theme song for the Rockford Files?
No, I'm not actually. I'm not. My familiarity with the Rockford Files is from a Ben Folds song saying they think the Rockford Files is cool. That's all I know about it.
It's a pretty good show. It's basically James Garner plays he's a private detective who was in jail because he may or may not have robbed someplace. But he's out of jail now, and he's a PI. He lives in a trailer on the beach, and he basically solves cold cases. That's the show. But it's like you said, it's got one of the greatest theme songs ever. Maybe I'll figure out a way to. I'll play it underneath us while we're talking about it right now. Maybe I'll be able to do that later on when we're doing the full video version audio of the show. So yeah, Rockford Files. Check that out on Netflix.
Okay.
All right, Matt. So let's. I guess just. Are you ready? Are you ready for spoiler talk?
Well, before we do that, do you want to talk about our new marathon? We have that. We're sorted out.
Sure, that's great. Yeah, why don't we do that? I don't know if I have my notes in front of me for that. So if you have everything, if you recall, let's run with it.
Sure. Let me just pull this up here. So our last marathon was 80s films that we liked as a kid, and then we enjoyed it thoroughly. And Chris and I, more so Chris, but me as well, we like to pretend that we're really big cinephiles, where we know we have some really glaring gaps in our viewing oeuvre, I guess you want to say. So we kind of got together and we got a list of all of the movies that are considered like classics or greats or like essential cinema that neither of us have seen. And I have to say that the list is embarrassingly long. So with some very, very I guess embarrassing. I guess I'll say that as well. Omissions. So, and we've come with a list of 5 that we've agreed. So we are going to watch, and don't judge us because we haven't seen any of this. Gone with the Wind, On the Waterfront, Rebel Without a Cause, Bridge Over the River Kwai, and Lawrence of Arabia. Please feel free to send us your emails talking about how we're a bunch of frauds right now. It's well deserved. But you should have seen the whole list, and then it would be even worse.
Yeah, I burned mine immediately after we agreed to the 5 films.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm excited for that. We'll be doing them in chronological order, right? So
yes.
Well, I guess
basically the order that I listed them out. That's the order that we're going to do.
So next week we'll be doing Keanu. I don't know if that's going to make the list. And then Gone with the Wind. So
right.
That's about, what, 3.5 hours long too? That sucker?
Yeah, it is. This is going to be a marathon. It's going to be tough.
Take a day off.
But I mean, the good thing is, even if I don't have these, I can. These are the type of films that you can go down to your library and get them for free.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
that's a good point. What's even worse is that I have 3 of those 5 in my Blu-ray collection right now.
I've never watched them. Pretty bad, Chris.
Well, I knew I had to at some point.
Yeah.
So I was just preparing myself for this.
You knew this was coming, so
exactly.
Very good.
So there you go. All right, Matt. Civil War spoilers. So go ahead, break it down. What were you most excited to see? What worked? What didn't? Let's get into it. Talk to me.
All right. So what was I most excited to see? Obviously, shouldn't be a big surprise. Spider-Man. He's my favorite comic book character. He was the one I grew up reading the most, and they did a phenomenal job with this. This is young Peter Parker. He's quippy, but even regular Peter Parker's kind of nerdy and awkward a little bit. I like what they did with Aunt May. I like that tone.
That was great.
Yeah.
With RDJ's basically like hitting on his. What is your dresser as? Your unusually hot aunt or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Played by Marissa Tomei. So they've aged her down quite a bit. And I also like the implication that at the end in the post-credit sequence that she knows that he's Spider-Man, but she's just letting him keep the secret, I think. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. I mean, I just, the fight scenes that he did, I like how Tony made his suit. I thought Spider-Man was fantastic.
Yeah, I think for me, it may be my favorite part of the whole film. You're right. And Holland absolutely nails it. I mean, he's perfect. I like the fact that we have a young, what is he? He's 15 in this, right? Is he 15?
Yeah, 15, 16, something like that, yeah.
And absolutely perfect. Yeah. And I like he had the crappy kind of homemade costume.
Yeah.
And Tony assembles the suit that we know. And how perfect is the costume? I mean, it's exactly what we've always wanted. I'm telling you, listen, the Sam Raimi series is solid. Yeah. Part 1 and particularly part 2. But and even there's even parts of the Garfield part that I like, the Mark Wahlberg version. But for me, this is exactly what I've been waiting for the whole time. I mean, it's Spider-Man to a T. The suit is perfect. While the other ones are always kind of like, there's no way that he made those suits the way they were. There's just no way.
Right.
And now we get a way for Tony for the suits to have been created in a way that makes sense. And I think I love too that we dance around the origin.
Right.
I absolutely loved how the Russos handle explaining why Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And I just hope for all of our sakes that in Homecoming we do not see Uncle Ben shot again. I don't. Maybe if. I
have a feeling you're going to get like maybe a flashback montage of like a spider bite and then Uncle Ben bleeding out.
A la Batman v Superman, where we do it over the opening credits,
right? Something like that.
But yeah, I think Max. That's all I want. I don't want a reintroduction where we go through the whole thing again. I can't handle it. So I think, and I think Marvel's keen to that. I think they know that.
Yeah.
So I think they'll handle that well. But I love how they danced around that as well. So no, yeah, it was absolutely perfect. And probably my favorite thing about the whole film.
Yeah, well, it was the thing that I was most excited to go see, and it was, I think, my second favorite thing in the whole film. The first favorite thing in the whole film I was not expecting at all was when Ant-Man turned into Giant Man. I was so excited for that.
I never understood that. I even texted me about it, too. Yeah. Just the 2 words, Giant Man. And I don't get. I couldn't understand. Like Giant Man's fine, but I don't know anybody who ever gets super excited over Giant Man.
Well, I guess it was one. Paul Rudd is really good in this. I really continue to like his Ant-Man. I'm really looking forward to Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I think will be a pretty good film. But I just like the fact that you've got the usual Ant-Man stuff. He's crawling in the suits and riding on the arrows and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden he says, "I'm going to try something," and he basically turns into Godzilla and just starts like whipping that crap out of everybody. That was, granted, I'm not like a huge Giant Man fan or Ant-Man fan, even for that matter, but just the way they did it was so exciting. It literally made me grin while I'm watching him grab War Machine out of the sky and like slam him into a plane.
Okay, because I thought it was more of an issue where you're just a super Giant Man fan. I'm like, who the hell's a super Giant Man? The way it unfolded is just, all right.
It was a lot of fun. And unfortunately, I was watching TV last night, and it's #1 movie in America, and what do they show? They show Ant-Man turning huge and grabbing War Machine out of the air. So
that's too bad. They should have kept that under wraps. It's a nice moment. It's not a spoiler film ruiner, but it's still a really enjoyable moment. No, I agree. And one thing, what I'm struggling with, Matt? Vision.
Yeah.
Not really doing it for me. Even in Ultron, it wasn't really doing it for me. I don't know if he's just some vessel, because he's going to be he's a key part of Infinity War, right? Because he's got one of the jewels in his head, and they do a little more kind of explaining without explaining, how important that thing is. With Thanos coming up, but I don't know what it is. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, for what do they call him? A synthezoid, an android or something? I mean, he has very little personality. That's very shocking. But yeah, I don't like the way Paul Bettany's really playing him. Like, I don't like. I wasn't impressed with the. They're trying to pull in the kind of Scarlet Witch Vision relationship from the comics, and I don't think that's really working very well. Elizabeth Olsen's not really selling that for me very well either. He just seems more kind of like a creepy stalker more than anything else. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm not really being sold on Vision there. So, but the best couple in the film is obviously Bucky and Falcon. They are fun.
They are a lot of fun together. Yeah, because it's one of those where they don't like each other, but they like each other type things.
Yeah.
Though I got to think, oddly enough, Matt, possibly one of my favorite moments next to Spider-Man, of course, and then Black Panther, was the Steve and Sharon kissing scene. But basically, their reaction when he turns around and sees them, they're both giving him the eye, like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I laughed hardest at that. I don't know what it was. It was just perfect the way they did that. Yeah. So I was another part of it that I really, really liked. But yeah, I got to tell you that, like I said, I think for me, Spider-Man was my absolute highlight of the film. I think it's interesting. Great. They have a couple little moments there too, where Bucky has Cap's shield. I don't know if you read the comics at all with the death of Captain America, but he becomes Captain America for 2 years in the comics, which I think is probably a month. I don't even know. But it's interesting to see that, because I don't know if they're going to go down that path. Because remember, initially, Chris Evans is only signed through Infinity War.
Right.
And he said, now, I think initially he didn't want to continue, but now he's got a taste of that sweet Marvel money. I think he's a little more on board now.
When they renegotiated a little bit and backed up the dump truck to his front door.
Exactly. That he'd be open to doing more.
Right.
Because Sebastian Stan, who plays Bucky, he signed on for 9 films.
Jeez.
So I was wondering if that's what it was. The ultimate plan was for him that Cap dies in Infinity War.
Right.
And Stan takes over for a couple films as Captain America. Now, in the comics now, though, I think Steve Rogers is alive again.
Yeah, he is.
And at one point, he lost the Super Soldier Serum, went out, so he got old, but I guess he's back to being fine
now
again.
He's old. Yeah, he's a super soldier, but he still looks old now, so it's different. Yeah.
But Falcon's Captain America now.
That's right. So that's what I'm kind of hoping they do, is maybe they'll do Steve will exit stage right, and they'll have Bucky and Falcon kind of both taking that role on, because I think that could be fun.
Let's see how they pull that off. That should be interesting. What do you think about the non-inclusion of Thor and Hulk, and why?
I think it's fine. I mean, the problem is if you're having superheroes fight each other, I mean, I like how they kind of balanced it. So, Vision can do, could basically, he was like their Iron Man's WMD, and then Scarlet Witch was, Captain America's, tactical nuke or whatever. But if you start bringing in Hulk and Thor and all that kind of stuff, I think it just would have gotten too crazy. I think it's fine. No big loss for Thor, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, I like Hulk and drawing a blank. What's the actor's name?
Ruffalo?
Yes, Mark Ruffalo. I like his portrayal as Banner, and that's obviously was a little missed, but I can do without it if it means that we don't get Thor.
Oh yeah, works for me every time.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
So you're not going to go see Ragnarok? You're not all...
Of course I'll see it. I'm sure once again I'll be like, yeah, all right, that's fine.
Cool. Can we see more Hemdell and Idris Elba? He's more interesting.
And Natalie Portman's not going to be in the next film, right? I think she's out.
She bowed out. Yeah, she bowed out.
So now I have no reason to see any of these films.
But I hear that Hulk is going to be in Ragnarok. He's going to play a big role. I think that's supposedly where he is. He's actually in Asgard, is what the rumor is.
Are they going to do them Planet Hulk after that?
I hope so. That could be fun. But I can't remember. In Planet Hulk, was he smart? Was this a smart version of Hulk, or was it still kind of feral Hulk in Planet Hulk?
Don't know. I never read it.
Yeah, okay.
I was never a Hulk guy.
I'm never a huge Hulk guy either, but I can barely keep it all straight.
Yeah. So, all right. So I'm trying to think if I had any other stuff that was really pressing that I wanted to talk about. Did you?
No, I can't think of anything.
So Baron Zemo, like I said before, a little underused. If I remember correctly, he was a son of a Nazi scientist or something.
Yeah.
So we don't really get into that. He's now in this film. He's a Sokovia refugee, and he's just angry. So I gotta admit, initially I was disappointed that he killed off the other. So here's the thing, right? The whole point is for him is he's trying to get the access to the information from Bucky as to there's like 4, 5, 6 other super soldiers that the Russians created that are in stasis. So he goes to Siberia, and we all think he's going to activate them. So I'm kind of excited, right? Cap and Bucky are going to have to fight these 5 or 6 super soldiers. It's going to be fun. But no, the Russos do a dogleg on us.
Yeah.
There, and Brule Zemo has killed them all. His whole thing is he doesn't want this. His whole thing is he's staging this fight between Iron Man and Captain America so then that the world will become disenfranchised with superheroes and want them to go away.
Right.
That's his ultimate goal in all of this, right?
Right.
So initially I was disappointed, but afterwards I got to admit it worked for me. I think it actually made a lot more sense.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I agree. I think it was a good zig. It was a good zig when you were expecting a zag.
Yeah.
Although I do want to point this out. The villains, I was kind of upset. They basically got rid of Crossbones. I mean, he was there for the beginning of the film. I kind of would have liked to see him stick around, maybe show up later in some other film, but unfortunately, they got rid of him. So I think that was a wasted effort there. Yeah,
that's true. Maybe, I mean, he survived last time, right? Maybe we'll find a way to survive out of this one.
Well, didn't he get vaporized? Yeah.
Or knows people. Yeah, never. Once you die in a comic book thing, though, you never.
It's forever. It is forever.
That's right.
Death is forever in comic books.
So, and then what else? There was one other thing I was going to say. Now you made me lose my track. You son of a bitch.
I did it on purpose.
Do you think Bucky got the punishment he deserved by putting himself back in stasis until they can figure out how to clean his head? I mean, he kills a lot of people. Can we talk about that? How everybody's all up in arms that Batman killed people in Batman vs Superman. About everybody in this film basically has killed somebody in this movie. Mm-hmm. People have died.
Sure.
Nobody says boo about it.
Well, because this is the main difference between Marvel and you. DC has built up their characters to be these paragons, almost like gods, right? And they have these, codes that are immutable kind of things. And, somewhere along the way, Batman doesn't kill, which I think is really, his whole thing with the Joker, is if you were going to kill, you would kill the Joker, and he doesn't. So he doesn't kill, and that's just part of his thing. Whereas Captain America is a World War II soldier. He's killed, hundreds of people, and he's a soldier. That's what he does. I mean, Black Widow's an assassin. I guess, getting punched by the Hulk is going to liquefy you. That's just what's going to happen. So, I mean, I think it's, that whole Marvel flawed, thing. Whereas if you're going to have your characters be gods among men, I mean, you got to take the good with the bad, right?
Yeah, I guess so. So what do you think about Black Panther? So we got to talk about that briefly too.
Yeah.
Black Panther, you're concerned that the next film is going to be too dour because
Yeah.
Black Panther in this film, his father is the king. All right, they're visiting envoy from Wakanda to go to Segovia to sign this accord where all the superheroes are going to have to get in line and be sanctioned by the UN. And the king, Panther's father, gets killed. He's assassinated, and so he's basically on a revenge kick throughout the rest of the film. So I don't know how you change his film into a light one, because from what I understand, the next film is going to be in Wakanda. And it's about what people invading or all the war that's happening around their land as they try and join the greater, world community, because they've isolated themselves for, I don't know, what is it, decades, centuries?
Right.
I don't know. But you're right. I don't know how they can inject some levity into that whole. Maybe they can hire McG. I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, I guess you could. I mean, obviously, I'm not very familiar with Black Panther from the comic. I mean, I know who he is, and I all of his fight scenes are really cool. His powers are cool. I thought the acting was fine. It just, you're going to need some kind of relief, and either that's another character. I don't know if there's another character in his back catalog, or like a for lack of a better term, a sidekick that they could bring in that could bring a little levity, or if they bring in somebody like, I don't know, Falcon or something like that. He seems to be pretty good for a laugh every now and again. So I don't know. I mean, I think they're probably going to do it through another character. I just hope that it's just not, this is, the only one that I think that would really work with would be like Punisher, unless you just went like completely insane. But otherwise, I think you just need a little bit of that.
Yeah. I'll have to see how that works out. I don't know. But how'd you like this? I love the costume design. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
I loved how he looked.
Yeah.
They did a great job with that. Really, it's a great film. It's a lot of fun.
Now, did they ever really explain that he has, I know he has powers, like true powers in the comic books, but he's almost like, is he like Batman-y in this, where he's basically just got a lot of technology and resources and just has kind of honed himself into a living weapon, or does he actually have powers?
Yeah, I don't know. Does he have, I didn't realize he had actual superpowers as T'Challa. I didn't know that was his thing, or is it just more he's imbued by the spirits of his ancestors type of a thing, which give him...
And I think he's got, the kind of usual nondescript powers, super, stronger than a normal person, faster than a normal person could ever possibly be, those kinds of things. But I mean, obviously, but he does have powers from, the actual, comic.
Okay. Well, what I got from it is that it's his suit. It's the vibranium.
Right.
And his suit is what gives him the ability to do what he does, being able to run fast, enhance strength, all that kind of stuff. But
right. Okay.
Yeah, I guess he hasn't. All right, here we go. The title Black Panther is a rank of office, chieftain of the Wakandan Panther tribe or clan. As chieftain, the Panther is entitled to eat a special heart-shaped herb, which, in addition to his mystical connection with the Wakandan Panther god, grants him superhumanly acute senses, enhanced strength, speed, agility, stamina, durability, healing, and reflexes.
Right. So basically, everybody's power set when they just need somebody to be a badass.
There you go. He's also a rigorously trained gymnast and acrobat.
There you go. So there's the Batman aspect coming into play. Although, I mean, he can outrun an Audi, apparently. So, I mean, I guess he's got to have some kind of superpowers, right?
Yeah. Good old BP. So, yeah. All right. I guess that was pretty much everything I had here for our spoiler discussion. I guess at the end of it, too, that's Captain America frees everybody that's been imprisoned. Yeah. And that's going to be the Dark Avengers, right? Those are the Avengers that work in the shadows and still
not the Dark Avengers. Dark Avengers were actual
Secret Avengers.
What Secret Avengers, yes, Secret Avengers. Yeah, Dark Avengers were actual bad guys. They were like Thunderbolts almost.
That's when Norman Osborn was in charge of them, or something too, right? Another guy who was dead for decades and ends up coming back. All right, so Secret Avengers. Are they going to make a Secret Avengers film, or are they just going to incorporate the two of them into Infinity War, and then they save the universe, and everybody's like, you know what, you guys were right.
You guys are cool. You did it. You did a good job. All right, you can come back. All's forgiven.
That's right.
I think they'll probably just. I don't think they'll get their own film. I think they'll just kind of be a force in the background. Although now talking about Dark Avengers and Thunderbolts, I want a Thunderbolts film. I think that would be fun.
That would be because they haven't. Do you think they could? Would Marvel do that? Would they do a villain-focused film?
I don't know. I guess it really depends on how Suicide Squad does. I mean, obviously DC beat him to the punch on that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. They might, I guess, when they start grasping for ideas. I mean, I'm needlessly excited for this, but they've already announced a Cloak and Dagger TV show, so they are really digging deep into the catalog.
They're doing a Cloak and Dagger show?
Yeah.
Jeez, how much? You're going to have a whole channel dedicated to this stuff.
I know, exactly. Although I have an affection for Cloak and Dagger. I thought they were pretty cool.
Yeah. Are they going to go with the real origins of them, too? Or are
with the drugs or whatever?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Overdose, right?
Yeah, they do. They overdose on some kind of mystical designer drug, and they get magic powers or whatever. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do. But they can't call them mutants or anything. So unless they go with Inhumans again, so I don't know. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the whole Inhumans? I don't want to call it cop out.
I mean, I understand what their limitations. It's really unfortunate. I wish they could just do mutants. It's dumb. I mean, I understand that all those deals saved Marvel and kept them afloat back then, but I mean, I get selling off the X-Men and X Factor and stuff, but it seemed very short-sighted to say that they can't use mutants in anything that they ever make, that's like TV or film, which is just a shame. So I get what they're trying to do, but I think they've killed the Inhuman film, from what I understand.
Yeah, I heard that's just TVA now.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. It's just not working. The Inhumans are a little too weird even for a comic book movie.
Mm-hmm. And then I think my final question for you. Am I wrong? I feel like there's no juice for X-Men Apocalypse. Am I misreading that?
No, I think you're right. I'm not super excited to see it. I mean, I've heard the early reviews are kind of like a big shrug. You get a meh, it's fine, I guess. I think people were pleasantly like I was never First Class is okay. Like I wasn't blown away with it. I don't love it or anything like that. I mean, and I was pleasantly surprised with Days of Future Past of how coherent, at least enjoyable it was, but I'm not even getting that sense from this. Yeah, I honestly just really want the X-Men and mutants to go back to Marvel. I want them to kind of make nice like they did, like Sony did, and get this ball rolling the way it should be, damn it.
I don't think it'll ever happen.
It'll never happen, but I want it to happen, so.
Yeah,
but I'm still going to give Sony my money. But I will post some stuff out on the internet.
All right, that's 20th Century Fox is going to.
Oh yes, Fox. Yes, that is Fox. So I will put some stuff out on the internet. That's disparaging.
Good for you.
It's there forever.
Good for you. Way to take a stand.
That's right. And this show is one of my many platforms.
That's right. Did you hear the news? I guess they announced it yesterday. Supergirl's moving to the CW.
So yeah, I think I like that actually. I think it just didn't fit with the tone of CBS.
But have they shot themselves in the foot because they've already established that Supergirl is in a parallel universe?
Well, so in my nerd readings, I heard that some nerds are speculating that this is how they'll bring in the Infinite Crisis somewhere along the line in the Flash. That she's got this parallel Earth or whatever, and they're going to use those two as a spring-off point to kind of make the crisis happen.
And they'll merge them together. You can't. Oh man, you know what? Listen, Legends of Tomorrow has been a disappointment for me. Every single episode, I'm like, all right, maybe it'll be better this week, and it's not.
Yeah. I stopped watching it halfway through. I stopped watching it.
I don't know what they just chose the wrong here. I think it's just poorly written. It's dull. It's dull. You could have wrapped this up in 6 episodes too. I feel like it's lots of filler. I guess they're going to do a season 2, which I'm surprised. From what I understand, it's the most expensive show the CW does.
Really?
But I'm hoping maybe they bring in like a Booster Gold or something. They need to do like a JLI.
Yeah.
Justice League International. Granted, that includes a Batman, but you can get rid of Batman, bring in Nightwing, or do something else. But you can run that. I mean, they're all also rans, right? Blue Beetle, Booster Gold. You already got Martian Manhunter on Supergirl. Mm-hmm. You can do Fire and Ice and Guy Gardner. I guess you can't use Gardner. Either way, I don't know. So
I heard that the rumor is that they're making a secret Booster Gold movie. There's some DCU film that it's being written and produced and like it's been greenlit, but they're not saying what it is. And everybody thinks it's Booster Gold.
Why does he have the pull for a feature film?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to try and do a Guardian / Deadpool, kind of throw it out there, kind of irreverent character that not a lot of people know and just kind of go with that with no additional baggage. I don't know.
I think if you do that, you got to go Lobo. If that's what you're going to go with, because he's the funny guy. He's also hyper violent. I don't know. I feel like that would be the way to do the secret film. Would be a Lobo film.
Maybe it will be Lobo. This is just conjecture, nerd conjecture.
Fair enough. Well, I clearly know nothing about that stuff. So
there you go. Can I ask you one last question after
Please.
we've gone completely off the rails here? So do you think we're gonna get Kid Flash and Jesse Quick as speedsters?
We clearly are. Have you not watched the show?
No, I did, but I mean, maybe I'm surprised they're throwing in. You're gonna have 3 speedsters running around.
All right. Let's get into this. I have somebody I can ask this question to. So you're up to date. You're up to date on Flash, right? You've seen all the episodes.
Yes.
All right. So Barry's in the Speed Force, and the Speed Force is somehow
sentient.
Yeah, I don't quite get that.
Okay.
One of my absolute favorite comics of all time, I think, actual issues. It's Flash. I want to say 87. It might be 90, but it's Mark Waid and Mike Ruingo. And what happens is Wally. This is Wally Flash. I'm a Wally Flash guy, by the way. That's when I got into it. Was with Wally. Barry had already been dead for a few years. So Wally's obsessed with the fact that he's not fast enough. Right, and he can't save people's lives. So what they have a character from, I think he was a Charlton character. I don't think he was a Golden Age guy. It was a different company that they bought, like the whole Captain Atom Blue Beetle thing. Weren't originally DC guys. So there's a guy named Max Mercury who's kind of like the Zen guru of the Speed Force that takes Wally on a tour of everything that's happening in Central City while he's helping this other group of people do stuff. And all the people who die in a car accident, there's a helicopter crash, all this stuff that he doesn't get to because he's doing something else. And Max takes him on the tour of the city and kind of talks to him through the whole thing and helps him realize, listen, you can only do what you can do. You know, you have to forgive yourself and just accept the fact and do what you can do. And just accept the fact that people are going to die. It's an absolutely awesome issue, and I really felt like they dropped the ball with that last episode when he's going through the sentient Speed Force, basically doing the same thing for him, getting him to accept his mother's death. If we're gonna get, here's the problem with I think maybe why they didn't go with Max Mercury and the introduction of Jesse Quick now and Wally West, who have been zapped by the Speed Force. Jesse, it looks like, may get her speed a little faster than Wally will because Wally's shown no effects yet. I almost feel like the show is getting inundated. It's getting too cramped with speedsters now.
Yeah, I agree.
So, like, for season 1, we have Professor Zoom. Season 2, we have, or the Reverse Flash.
Yeah, Reverse Flash,
which is Professor Zoom, same guy.
Yeah.
Season 2, we have Zoom, which is Hunter Zolomon. So, what do you do with? So, how many speedsters is too many?
Yeah.
And who's your villain for season 3?
Yeah. So, I don't know. So, who are the other classic? I mean, so there's Grodd, but the problem with Grodd is obviously it's very expensive to produce Grodd. So, I don't think he'll be the big bad for any particular season. I think they need to move away from speedsters because obviously it just kind of gets repetitive.
Exactly. They can't go 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah. But I don't know who else. What are some of his other classic villains?
He's got a great rogues gallery, but the problem is.
Most of them are speedsters?
No, the big ones.
Yeah.
Reverse Flash, and Zoom are the big ones. But then you have Captain Cold, Mirror Master, which I don't think they've used as of yet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not.
Is there like another DC character that could be sitting on the bench somewhere from somebody else's gallery that they could kind of pull in if they needed to?
I'm sure. I mean, they did that with Vandal Savage, right? So I guess it's possible. I'd have to think about that. I don't know who it could be. The problem is you need to have somebody who has the ability to negate his powers.
Right.
So
I don't know, maybe some kind of like Green Lantern villain of some kind.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, somebody alien with kind of magic alien powers, sci-fi powers or something. I don't know.
I have to think about this. That's my homework assignment. See what we come up with who the season 3 villain Flash is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed this season, but I think it's been a little repetitive with having Zoom. Although I like Zoom, I think he's a good character, but it's just the same. It's a lot of the same stuff, and they just don't have that coherent. It's a little overstuffed a lot, so that's unfortunate.
Fair enough. Whew. All right,
man. Nerdy stuff going on.
We haven't been this comic booky in quite a while. That's impressive. Or sad.
So are there any other comic book movies? Besides Suicide Squad, I'm drawing a blank on anything else really comic booky coming out this year.
This year?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that might be it.
Okay.
Right? I mean,
so we'll get a respite. We'll have to go see other things.
Well, you got a Star Wars movie coming out, so you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there aren't any more comic movies coming out, are they? Are there, I should say. Yeah, nope, that's it. We got X-Men, Apocalypse, and Suicide Squad to go. That looks like that's it for the year.
All right.
Unless there's some graphic novels that I'm not as aware of that are coming out. Is there a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie coming out? Like, I don't count that.
Yeah, they don't count.
So, all right, sounds good. All right. So, Matt, next week, it's going to be Keanu, the first feature film with Key and Peele, as well as Gone with the Wind. And that's quite a pairing.
Yeah, seriously. That is a tale. That is a tale of two sides of a coin, for sure.
So, we'll have to do when it comes out, too. I think it's coming at some point this year, is The Killing Joke, the animated film. Oh, and Doctor Strange. Yeah. Doctor Strange at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I feel better now. I thought we had one more Marvel movie coming out.
There you go. Yeah. See, there you are. All right. So that'll be next week. Any interim, shoot us an email, feedback@thefirstrun.com. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter and our own website, thefirstrun.com. Where else are we? Instagram. Just do a search for The First Run. We'll come right up. That's it. I'm going to take an extended break, and we will see you all soon.
See you guys.
You tell me, who is your daddy and what does he do?